Brace the rudders! Raise the sails! Raise the sails!
Captain, an unidentified ship is approaching. Over.
Roger. Wait, is that an Enterprise sales solution?
Reach sales professionals, not professional sailors. With LinkedIn ads, you can target the right people by industry, job title, and more. Start converting your B2B audience today. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started today at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back to The Give, a Lawrence First and Goal Clinic podcast. Today's segment comes from Robert Weiner, the associate head coach at the University of Connecticut. Before he made the jump to the college game, he spent decades coaching in Tampa, including Jesuit and Plant, where he led as a head coach for 16 years. And in this clip, he's not digging into scheme. He's talking about leadership when it's hardest. When the game flips, your team's on the ropes, confidence gets tested. He shares two non-negotiables he built around his quarterback room. Excellence is excellence all the time, and genuine family love. Then lays out a 6-point plan for adversity leadership. This is something you can bring right to your team, regardless of your position. Get the full presentation, plus over 100 sessions from the 2026 Lawrence First and Goal Clinic, and 500 more in Lauren's library. Access it now at lfgclinic.com. Here's Coach Weiner.
Thanks so much. I appreciate you guys always having me. And I, Keith, of course, go back a long way and appreciate that. But also with Coach Lucen, I also go back a long way. When I was a high school coach in Tampa, Florida for many, many years, about 30 years in Tampa, Florida, down at Jesuit High School, my alma mater, and then at Plant High School, I was a head coach for 16 years. John recruited my area for most of that time. So got to know him really, really well. And, of course, spent time throughout the years talking about Lawrence First and Goal and the organization and everything along those lines. As I've said, every year I've done this. This is certainly, after my own heart here as well. I was a kind of organizer, supervisor for a camp for children with muscular dystrophy for many years, 42 years we did it. And I would always bring my players with me there. And honestly, it was a very significant part. A couple years back when I was high school coach, I think this was probably back in 2018, the camp date interfered with fall camp. And it was the first week of fall camp, and we ended up actually going to muscular dystrophy camp instead of doing fall camp. And people thought that would be a big disadvantage for us football-wise, and it actually turned out to be a huge advantage for us. We ended up going to the state semifinals that year and having an unbelievable year, that year during that time. So I think that kind of leads into a lot of what I'm going to talk about here today. Maybe a little bit different clinic today, certainly different than what I've done throughout the years. Last year, I was the offensive coordinator, co-offensive coordinator, and quarterbacks coach at the University of Toledo for head coach Jason Candle. Was the reason I eventually got out of high school and went up to college. Certainly football, which is, in my opinion, the greatest sport in the world and the greatest vehicle to get at those things that are really, really deep inside of us. Certainly going to use football for that. So today's presentation is a presentation that I actually have wanted to do for many years. This is probably 20 years in the making, this presentation. And I've always felt like anytime I go to a clinic or any place like that, you owe it to the clinic and you owe it to the time to give like as many X's and O's as you can and get as many film clips as you can out there. But now I'm in a little bit of a new role. It says quarterbacks. I just kind of help out with the quarterbacks at UConn. We have a great quarterbacks coach and Markwell Blackwell, who's also from my area in Tampa down there. And we have a great offensive coordinator and Nunzio Campanelli, who many people here in the great Northeast know him very well. He's from the northern New Jersey area, and he's a quarterback guy himself. And of course, our head coach, Jason Candle, is a quarterback guy as well. So the quarterback guys, along with my GA, Brock Hill, who helped me create this presentation, The quarterbacks are well represented and well coached at the University of Connecticut with that. But my new role is really in the role of associate head coach. And there's a lot of things that we've kind of built into that. And one of it is leadership. But as a high school head coach, this is a subject that I've thought about and talked about for a long time. So what I'm trying to do here today, hopefully, is just as much as you would get very usable things out of a clinic in which you were watching film and finding out things on offense or defense or special teams that you could get. I am trying today to give you actually usable things for you in your leadership, but also to help your young people in their leadership. And specifically at the time when leadership gets tough. There are many, many, many times in leadership in which leadership is easy. The celebratory leadership is one that is triumphant and easy, and virtually everybody can do that. We can all join in the good times with each other. We can all get rah-rah or any other way that we need to do it when things are going well. But the real leadership, as we know, in any field, whether it's in football or any other sport, if you watch the Olympics, you saw a goal yesterday by the U.S. women's hockey team, a goal with 2 minutes to go by the captain, and then a goal in overtime from a Boston College grad, even though I can't really say that as much anymore with great excitement, but or a Boston College player in Megan Kelly to win it. But that's leadership, stepping up in those big moments and leading your team to legendary victories. We see it around us all the time. You can watch the Olympics every day and find it. But the leadership in really, really difficult times, the leadership when things mean the most, and the leadership when things are at their toughest. So that's what I want to talk about today. And I don't want to talk about it in a pie in the sky way. I'll give you some philosophy and I'll give you some stories that back it up a little bit. But I also want to give you some real actionable elements for you to actually practice and put into your teaching in football. Because many of you, I spoke to someone last night who was in the military, and he really felt like all of these things resonated with him and a military approach. So we're talking about football and a game that we love, and he's talking about real life and things that many times are life and death in terms of decisions that have to be made and leadership that has to be had. So I think these things resonate in a very real way, not only for our young people in their sport, for them to be at optimal performance, for them to be at peak performance, especially when it means the most, but also for them to be able to live their best lives, which I think that's what the goal is at the end of the day.
A quick break here from Coach Weiner's presentation. If you want his full presentation, the LFG Clinic Premium Access gives you every session from the 2026 clinic, plus over 500 more in Lauren's library. And it's more than just video. You also get our curated OC school, DC school, head coach school, special teams coordinator school, position coach schools, ongoing clinics, Q&As, roundtables, private podcast episodes, and a coaching community where coaches can network and grow together. Get all of this at an incredible price at the new platform we've developed, lfgclinic.com.
I wanted to challenge myself again and wanted to put myself on a little bit of a new path, and of course, uprooted family in place a little bit here in order to do it. But I came up with a quote for myself when I was uncertain and I was unsure as to what to do. And my quote that I wrote for myself and I put on the door at my place at Toledo that said, "An honest man on a genuine journey will always end up where he is supposed to be. An honest man on a genuine journey will always end up where he is supposed to be." Because my thought is that if you had told me at some point that I would have ended up in Toledo, Ohio, or even really here at the University of Connecticut, I would have never told you that that was where I would have thought I was going to be, where I aspired to be. Not that they weren't great places to be, just never really entered my thought pattern there. But the interaction that I've had with people as our players and our staff and our community has shown me that this is where I was supposed to be all along. And I didn't know it, and I didn't know that was going to be the place. But I think if you just remain honest to yourself, an honest man on a genuine journey, if your journey is genuine, if you're making decisions with your whole heart and with your whole mind and with your whole soul, then you're making the decisions that are the ones to be. And I've always found out in our profession, Our profession is one that is connections. Our profession is one that is relationships. And I found that if that's the case, what does it mean that this is where you're supposed to be? It means that there's somebody there who's waiting for you. You don't know what the name is. You don't know who that person is. You don't know what they need. But each place where I've been, I've found that, wow, I can't imagine my life without that person that entered into my life when I took that path and took that choice and made that bold decision and ended up where I was supposed to be. And I use this quote quite often with recruits and give it to them because recruiting gets very stressful for a lot of our kids, a lot of the guys that you're recruiting, and even for you. You get a lot of pressure from parents, a lot of pressure from outside sources to get these kids places. But I think the perspective can always be that just remain true to your journey. Make true evaluations of yourself as a person, as a player. You're going to end up where you're supposed to. It may not be the place that was of your dreams when you were an 8-year-old child and you were in Tampa, Florida, and you went to the University of Florida games your whole life. Well, it may not be the University of Florida, but the place that you end up going is probably the place where you're supposed to be. And in a day of transfer portal and NIL, those people who really understand and really embrace this journey find themselves on a path where really they're not finding themselves going from place to place to place to place to place. So I think that's been a really good guiding point for me, and I hope it's a really good guiding point for you as well. And I keep that quote close to me as often as I possibly can. All right, today we're talking about adversity leadership, and I wanted to include this picture from my second year here at Toledo. After the COVID year, we went to the Bahamas Bowl, and there in the middle of that picture is DeQuan Finn, who was my quarterback. Tucker Gleason next to him was my quarterback at Plant High School before going to Georgia Tech and then transferring up to Toledo to be with us. And A.J. Gucciardo, our walk-on quarterback at Toledo when I got there. And we believe in two things in the quarterback room. And those two things is that excellence is excellence all the time. And DQ, we had lost the game. We hadn't played as well as we wanted to. And DQ's standard of excellence was not exactly what he wanted it to be. And that's why he was so upset in that particular moment. But the second part to that is we're not always going to be able to reach the thing that we want to reach. We love the game of football so much because you can lose the game. That's why it's a great game. That's why sports are amazing. That's why watching that U.S. versus Canada hockey game was incredible. Because in one moment, this thing flipped on its head, and the people who were in elation and the people who were in absolute devastation was flipped upside down. And this is what they have to deal with in sports at that particular moment. And you can see in the emotions of this particular picture that it's there. But the second thing that we believe in is we believe in genuine family love. That if we're going to put together a room of quarterbacks, if you're going to put together a team, a collective, that there is going to be genuine family love that is going to be placed in there. These are people who are competing for the same job. And as they were competing for the same job, certainly willing to support each other and help each other and love each other in only the ways that our great game of football can allow you to do it. And so I think as you come over to this point, you start to realize that this is important when we get into some of these things that are part of our journey and part of what it is that we are going to do. And so that comes to this thought: regardless of any outcome, just know that mismanaged success is the leading cause of failure. I can even attest to it. Like, man, we got going for years at Plant High School. We won 4 state championships, and we had the winningest record in the state of Florida for a long period of time and some really good teams there. But success is really, really hard to manage. And that's not really the adversity leadership that I'm talking about, but you have to realize that getting to the top of the mountain is not the ultimate goal. And if you're process oriented, you realize that football success is a byproduct. Football success is not the end goal. Football success is a byproduct. It's a byproduct of people that care and love for one another, and it's a byproduct of people who care about excellence in all that they do. But the second part of that is, but well-managed failure is the leading cause of success. So that part of it, understanding that if you learn how to manage your failures, you are able to get to the points of success. And that's where that picture gets to for us. Two things in our quarterback room. Excellence is excellence all the time, and genuine family love. And those two things are going to be displayed at all times. I have, over the years, and this is from real stuff. This is not from just kind of coming up with philosophy or thought or anything like that. I have put together a 6-thought plan to adversity leadership. And I think all of these things are connected to one another, and all of these things are ways for you to actually kind of look at direct ways that you can help your young people by your leadership and by their leadership. So some of these things you'll see as it comes in and putting this adversity leadership together. Some of these things just have kind of a biblical nature to them. Hope nobody's offended by any of that. I'm a Jewish guy who's quoting some things in the New Testament. So if I'm not offended by it, then I think we could probably get through it together. But the first thing is keep the faith. It's understanding the vision that you have for this and understanding how and when we need to continue that vision and keep the faith in what it is that we really believe in and what it is the essence of what it is we're trying to do. The second thing is going to be fight the good fight and the right fight to make sure that we are fighting the battle and will continue to fight the good fight. Sometimes all things are lost. Those of us in football, we talk to our players about never putting on film, gearing up, or stopping. Well, what if the running back is way faster than I am and I'm in a chase position and there's no way I'm going to catch him? Should I still chase him? Hell yeah, you should. Absolutely, you should. So you need to continue to fight the good fight, and you need to continue to fight the right fight. And we'll talk about that in a minute too. The most important thing of this whole 6 points here is to think globally, act locally. And I'm going to talk specifically about that in a moment. It's actually a bumper sticker from the 1960s and the 70s, an environmental bumper sticker. And I've kind of turned it into a football thought here. So we'll talk about that as well. Number 4 in adversity leadership would be change the angle or change the perspective or change the narrative. Just like number 1 is keep the faith and know when to stay on course and understand the vision and what's in keeping with the vision. Number 4 is to change the angle, change the perspective, change the narrative, know the things that we do have to change in order for us to be able to get better at this. Number 5 is raise each other up by your efforts. Faith without works is dead. We can reach new heights by raising the levels of all boats, raising the water levels of all boats, and we can do it simply by effort, something that's completely in our control. And then number 6 would be to make some plays. And that, as I go through all of that, and it sounds like all philosophy, number 6 hits very much in a football way, and you'll understand that in a moment, but I actually mean it more metaphorically in life as well.
Thanks again for listening to the Give podcast. If you want the full hour from Coach Weiner, his 6-point adversity leadership plan, the Think Globally, Act Locally piece, and the mission statement standard he used to build real buy-in, it's all inside LFG Clinic Premium Access. You'll also unlock every 2026 presentation, over 500 more in Lauren's library, plus all of our schools, ongoing clinics, Q&A, roundtables, private podcast episodes, and the coaching community at lfgclinic.com. Follow all we're doing on the Coaching Coordinator Network at coachandcoordinator.com, and follow us on X at Coach K. Grabowski and at lfgclinic.com.